Good morning, happy Thursday. Hello everyone, how are you doing today? Hopefully doing pretty good. It's the latter part of the week, we're almost to the end. I'm excited to be back working on this project. I was thinking about it most of the day yesterday. I did realize I tried booting this up a little bit this morning, just to sort of like remind myself where I was, see where we left it. We started using components in our loaders for here. So in load title screen, well, when we do a spawn entity with component, we need to register that this component exists before, and that's obviously a problem. If we don't register that, it crashes. So I'm definitely gonna do that so we don't get the crash state anymore. In fact, let's just go ahead and do that now. So this is gonna be with component text. Now, maybe before I even do that, I want to create a names. Let's do that just in source, create a new folder, call this names. And the reason why I want to do that is so that I can, I know it's going to like tie everything a little bit closer together, but I also don't want to like just have those magic strings all throughout. It's, I'm going to give up a little bit of the nice freedom for a little bit of help from our code editor. All right, so we're gonna have mod names, and then in here, I'm thinking of probably just other files. So we could create another folder for. So this is gonna be the resource name. So we're gonna have resource names and component names are the first ones. Might as well also create component names and exchanging freedom for tyranny of editor. Yeah, that's right. There's also good morning Epic Blarg. There's a school of thought in programming that doing what I'm doing is an anti-pattern because it tightly couples all of these different components together. So if I ever make a change in one place, I have to now go make a change in like a billion other places. That being said, I don't think I'm gonna be matching across all the names at any point of time. So hopefully we should be good there. Also, Rust, it's very interesting because Rust provides some protections that from these type of things where like it won't let me forget to do it at all. I can still implement it incorrectly in like a bunch of different places, but if I need to implement the same exact code somewhere else, maybe that's a point for doing like some kind of data-driven design as opposed to some kind of like object-oriented design, which is where the concern comes from. Component names, resource names. All right, so I believe what we were looking at initially, we have, okay, so resource, we have the game name as a resource. So we're gonna have a pub enum. It's gonna be our resource names. So game name is gonna be one of them. We could just go ahead and set up strum here too. So derive oh, you're not gonna be able to figure that out. Okay. Use, I think it's the strum macros as ref string, and let's also just pull in toString also. don't know if we need anything else for these. So this immediately allows us to come back into here, and so where we have this game name, you require an actual string. Yeah, so we could do game name. Apparently you haven't found that yet. We are modding names. Names is then modding these things, and you are public. You don't exist. Okay, so your resource names. So what is that? Let's create. Names, resource names, game name, string. And then what I want to do is replace that with that. Actually, I don't want it that. I want still game names. Resource names. There, so I have resource names like that. Okay, so then add resource. This is another resource name, title font size. All right, what? Nothing else in here. You're still yelling at me because I want it a default implementation. It's yelling at me because I don't have this this new here. So I can give it a flag to tell it to not worry about this, or I could do something else. Let's continue. I think our loader is the other area. So now, okay, so we have this game name here. This is going to be the resource names, game name, dot as ref, I think. And exactly the same thing here. Game name. This is title font size. Okay. Then we're going to have the component names. So let's go ahead and create those too. Well, we might as well use strum macros. Okay, what's this first one that we care about? Text. So we'll just call this text. So inner mod loaders, this can just be component names, text. I think it's just as ref. Yeah, you take a ref there. And then before we forget, we want to, in setup, so we have these add resources. We also want to do self dot world dot, I think it's register, and then the name of what we're looking for. And I believe this is a full string. So we're gonna do a component names, text, to string. And you do return a result.
So am I. The computer that we have running our news from time to time took off and went.
Okay, so that should actually make things run now. There we go. So we've got that running. What else do we want to do to sort of like make things nicer for ourselves? Don't know off the top of my head. The big thing is we're trying to get to the point where we can like actually display something on the screen as opposed to just have it be blank and empty. We have this first world component that we're loading here. So with component, we have the text. Well, if we need to know where to place this text, we need a position. So with component, so let's go to component names. We're also going to have a position. And if we have a position, then that means in setup, we also need to do a self.world.register. That. Okay, so component names, position as ref, and then the actual data here. So we're going to be using a point from BBECS. So this is probably going to be something like let title position equals this point new. We can arbitrarily place this wherever we want. So let's just go like 50.0, 50.0. And then we'll put that here. So title position. With those two things, I think we have enough to actually create the system to now display this. Now we have the system already. Wait, did we? Oh, I deleted that, didn't I? I think I want to recreate the system as manager, but now sort of like knowing how it's going to be used, like actually using the world stuff instead of like whatever I was doing beforehand, which wasn't right. Dota 2 Attitude, hello, good morning. All right, so in source, we want a new folder. We're gonna call this the system manager. We're gonna have a mod.rs in it. And in here, we're gonna mod system manager. I'm just really using this to like hold all the different systems together so they're not all in the main library. So this is going to be a pub struct system manager. We know we're going to hold at least one in here to begin with, which is going to be our title draw, and we're going to be choosing which systems to be using based upon our navigation that we're in. And I'm thinking right now, nobody's actually listening, right? Can I see, where's our events? You're listening. Okay, so we have this. And that's subscribe. Wait, that's the wrong way around. I want event manager. Can I peek at implementations? No implementation. Yeah. So nobody's using it. So our system manager could potentially be using this. The other choice that we have. So we have two choices here. Probably more than that. We need to know what group of systems to run, right? Like we need to know what, like to display the title, we need to be on the title screen, which means we need to have navigated to the title screen. Well, that when we first launched the game, we send an event, hey, we've navigated to the title screen. If we do that again later on in the application, we'll get that event out, and we want to now like empty out the world and load up all the things for navigation. That being said, I don't know if we need to worry about. I think that we can have like just because we're probably gonna have text in like the main game for like a timer, countdown, and some other things. We might be able to get away with in our systems manager just having like a text system. So one of the things I wanted to play around with was use structs for our systems. I don't know if I want to like have them all set up ahead of time and then just run through them. That might be really interesting. But like I think structs could be interesting, and I've noticed that a lot of other systems in other ECS libraries use structs, like make you use structs. So right now I'm not actually doing anything with this. We can derive default for something like this. That would be perfectly fine. So we could do something like that to create the system manager. And that would allow us to throw this into the main library. So we can now have our system manager here. Now, if I want this to go away, like this big giant error that we have here, it's not too terribly difficult, but the problem is not all of these things implement default, and they can't implement default because we have to pass in this here. So because that, we have to implement default ourselves, which isn't too hard. You just come down here, we're just gonna do an impl default for state, and everything that we have here in new, this now happens down here. And then in new, we're just going to return self default. And that's all it really wanted me to do. All right, so system manager. Let's see, what do we want to do with this? We want to draw the text out. We want to draw text out. So let's. How do I want to do this? We want to create another system for like draw text. So draw text. Which then we mod in here. And we don't need to make this a public mod. Just a mod. And then we can have a pub struct draw text system. I don't know if we need to store anything in this. So what we can actually do is, like, for most of these, they could just be empty. But we are going to want to impl on this draw text system. So we're gonna have a pub function just run, I guess. Okay, so what are the big things we need to do to get out of here? We need to be able to get stuff from the world. So we're gonna have a self. We know we're gonna have the world, which is just a reference to the world. And I don't know what else we need in here. We also know we're gonna return a result. And that's it. So the first thing we need to do is query for those components from the world. So if I remember correctly, well, we have to use that query. So we have this query here. Here's how it works. Create a world, insert some components into it. We create a query. Yeah, we have to do this like fun, weird thing with it. So we have to create this query. We're going to pass in the world, this query variable, which we're only doing it because of fun reasons. And then the component name that we're going for. Actually, as many component names as we want. It can just be like as many as we want, and then we're going to get a tuple back, a dynamically sized tuple for what we're getting out. So then in this specific case, we want position and we want the text. So we have text and position equals this query. The world query and then the names. So world query and then the names of what we're going for. So we have component names. Yeah, why can't wait? Why can't you tell me what that is? Component names. Text and position. Okay, text dot as ref, and then component names position as ref. And you just end. Now we have this text and position, which, as we can see, is it is a reference to a vector of a reference to component data. So it's a little bit odd, but it works. It does what we need it to. So we've extracted those out. And now they're also guaranteed to be the same size, otherwise it crashes. So we now want to loop through at least like one of them. We'll get the index of it so we can get the other, then we'll actually draw it out. So if we're actually drawing this out, we also need the context. All right, how's this gonna work? We're gonna do a for the actual like text. So we can call these like texts and positions. So for text index in text dot iter enumerate. Wrong way around. You're the index, you're the text. Okay, so now we can convert the text. So I usually do shadowing here because like at this point in time, we don't care about like the previous one anymore, and we need to convert this out. So text, I believe we need to tell it exactly what type that it is. So we know that the text is going to be a type of a text. So this is going to be a reference. Oh, wait. Component data. If we look at what component data is, component data is this. Okay, so okay, never mind. We do need to. It's a reference to data wrapper. That's what it was. Data wrapper, which is just a fun wrapper around RC refsol, so I don't have to write that all the time. And then inside of that is going to be a text. So that equals our text dot, and then we cast this. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here. We also have to pull you in so you know what type that is. So this is going to be the position. It's a data wrapper with a point. This is positions of index cast. And now I have those two. Now they're in RC ref cells, but at least they know what their type is, which means I can now borrow them and just get out the data. Or borrow them mute. Like that's the best thing about this, is that I never need to borrow the world mutably, because I can just, unless I need to like insert into it. Okay, so what's next? If we want to draw this out, we have the text. I think all we need to do is just do a graphics draw. So graphics draw, pass it that context, pass it a. So this is interesting because we have to reference the text that is borrowed. Use that borrow, not the standard borrow. But that returns this ref, and so I need to deref it before it can ref it, because draw unfortunately can't handle that. I could do that out here and like shadow it one more time, but I'm not gonna worry about it. Now we have these draw params, and then we're gonna have a destination. This destination, we say, okay, we want the position. We are gonna borrow you, and then we want a to array to turn that into the array for the destination. And then we can question mark you. All right, it's a lot. Let's head back into our system manager. And so we can store these away so we don't have to like allocate them every single time. It does take more memory up, but then again, this is a zero memory struct, so that should be fine too. So we're gonna have this is gonna be the draw text system. Is a draw text system. For new, you need to implement default. That should be actually fine. And empty one should be easy to do default in. Then we're also going to have a run. So hub function run. Okay, so run takes just a reference to self. We need the world. Reference to the world. And we need... What else do we need in here? We need the context. So we're going to do a self.drawText.run, pass it in that world, pass it in that context, just question mark it on through. Okay, so then back out from here into the main library. We have our system manager. We've created that. Let's go into update here. So we've loaded up the world. We're now going to do self.systemmanager.run. We have to pass it in a reference to self.world and the mutable reference to the context. And then we can unwrap you. There's no errors, so let's see if this works. The answer is no. Why isn't it working? Are you being run? So in draw text, I mean, it's not saying it's not being run anymore. So I'm curious, is this happening? So let's do a debug in here of like, I mean, we can just debug a reference to text, a reference to position. Okay, so we see them. We have this position ref cell. We have the point of it, so that's good. For the rest of it, okay, so here's our text. It has the name. Okay, it has name of game. It has color, which is ones all around, which I believe. Okay, that's white. That's fine. We have no font. We have a scale to bring it up to 72. Infinite bounds. I think that's all fine. Yeah, so like I think this is all fine here. Interesting, there's 2 font scales in it. But I should still be able to see it, right? We can try overwriting the color here. So in this graphics draw, we have this dest, and we can also say that color white. Yeah, I don't like see it anywhere on the screen. Now let's try just like putting it in our own position. Make sure it's not anything weird, like it's the wrong position. So if I do like 100.0, 100.0, okay, so that's not appearing anywhere. Let's also try just creating the text separately. So if I just do let text equals text new hello. And then we're just going to reference this text. Oh, okay. So I don't see that anywhere on the screen. Because, oh, you need to be in draw. Oh, I'm doing this in the update. Okay, so this is run for the draw text. Okay, hold on. We need to have like two different runs. So we have an update one and like a display one. So then in here, instead of this run here, we're gonna put you down here and change you to display, just to make it like more obvious, like when they should happen. So in this case, now let's try this again. There it is. Okay, so there's our hello. We're gonna come back into draw text and we're gonna like fix this up again. I could just like shadow text again, so I'll show you what this ends up looking like. This is like, okay, text is this reference to this ref cell here. So then I borrow you and you become this ref of a text. So then I can dereference you and then you become the text itself, and then I can just do that. So that's fine. Now, whenever you like go into, let's see, what are you yelling about? Image, cannot move out of that. Oh, text doesn't have the copy trait. It shouldn't be worrying about that because it should be recreating every for loop. But I guess I'll just go back to the original one. So this is dereferenced. No wait, a reference to a dereference to text.borrow. And then here for our destination, we want this to be our position. We borrow, then we to array. In Rust, whenever you use dots like this to like reach into something, it auto dereferences, so I don't need to like manually dereference, which is nice. It kind of means that you can use those refs in like, for the most part, it's just magic. Okay, so we have the name of game showing in there, and it's in the correct position. So I want to make sure it's drawn correctly. So when we put the position, so when we load, we need to make sure we load it in the correct position here. So title position, we're just setting this to be a point with like 50-50. That's obviously incorrect. But we kind of need to know what our drawable, like what the size is for everything. So that means we need the context in here. We either need the context or some kind of configuration. One of the two. Which means that up here we need the context so that we can pass it in here. And that means in the main library, we need to pass it in the context. And the main reason we need the context is so that we can get the drawable size. So let's put that here. Let it's gonna be like the screen coordinates equal to graphics screen coordinates, pass in the context. That gives us this rectangle. This rectangle we discovered is the actual way to get the screen coordinates as opposed to the drawable size, which is not real. Okay, so if I want to get the exact center, that's gonna be screen coordinates dot w divided by 2. So that's the exact center of the screen on the width side. But then I want to subtract half of our title. So that's going to be our title dot width, pass in this context as an F32 divided by 2. So minus half of our title width. Then we want to do perhaps not exactly the same. We want to be like closer to the top. So we can maybe just get away with one full height down. So that could be our title dot height times 2. It's an F32 times 2, and that should be fine for this. So if we run you now, there we are with name of game right in the center here. I've never really figured out how to get rid of that flashing as it changes the resolutions. The only thing I can think about would be to delay the creation of the to delay what we want, like to delay the creation of like displaying of these for like the first 5 frames or like a couple frames. I'm not going to worry about it right now though. I'm just going to accept that. All right, so if we have that, now I want to create the other 2 aspects, which we want like a play, and then we also want a play and what is it called? Play and settings are the 2 other systems. So in our loader here, we have load title screen. We have like the top title. We're also going to, this is gonna be essentially play. We have to do the exact same thing here, do we? I don't think so. Perhaps getting the font size out would be nice. Let's go ahead and just copy this. So game name, I don't care about this. But this is going to be like just the standard font size. So like standard, let's call this font size. We want the font size. Okay, so resource names. We need a resource of just font size. Which means in our settings here, we want to add in U2. Let's make you like, what does it increase by? Like what's the standard fonts? There's like a standard one. Font size, like increase, what is it? Like a, not cadence, because like it's not just like 1, 2, 3, 4, it's choices? I don't know. Can I take a look at the settings for this? Or is it just gonna be a drop-down box? Let's see. Font. Yeah, okay. So here in like the font size choices here, like 9, 10. So this is like starting at 9, 10, 11, 12. So this is just every one until we hit 16. No, until we hit 18. Then it's every 2. Okay, so it's literally just whatever. Just whatever we feel like. Cool. Let's try 17. So we're going to add this in as a resource. I'm thinking this should probably also be broken out into like creating, like initializing these resources, probably just to a different function inside of here. I think that would be fine. But let's see. Then back to loader. So resource, this is just font size as ref. So we get that font size out. We then do a text new, text fragment. This is now going to be play. Play. Give it the color white. Scale, uniform. And then this is going to be the font size. Then that becomes, we don't want this to be the title. This is now display. We have the title position, and then so we're gonna get play position equals point new. Okay, so for the Y, I want this to be down near the bottom. So we're gonna do with screen coordinates dot height. So that gives us the very bottom of it. I want to go up maybe by like a quarter at most. So minus like 1/4 of this would be screen coordinates dot height times 0.25, let's say. And then we can like minus the full height. So title width, we can minus it by 2, and then the other one will plus it by 2. So we'll do, this is the play height, it's F32 times 2. I think that'll be fine. Then okay, so that's the oh, you know what? This should be the Y. The X should be the same thing. So we're gonna do screen coordinates dot width divided by 2 minus play width 32 divided by 2. So that just goes into the center. Then all we have to do is spawn another one of these. So it's pretty much going to be exactly the same. So we can just copy this. But the component names are going to be exactly the same. But instead of title, this is play. And this is play. Just by doing those changes, I should now be able to run you again, and we should now see play. And there it goes. That's a little bit small. So let's go into our main library here and set you to like, let's try 24. There we go. Now we have play. And to get settings, we're gonna add you in. Let's see, where's our loaders? We do exactly the same thing. So you're gonna be settings. We're gonna grab the exact same font size here. So we'll have settings, white. This is all fine. Now the play position, we're gonna update this to be settings, position. This will be settings. That will be exactly the same, but for you, we're gonna make you a plus. So you should be close, but not too close. And then we'll insert you down here. So world, instead of play, you become settings. Well, maybe. What did I miss? Text position. So we're inserting. We have the same position. Center, screen coordinates, settings at height. So we have all those settings, text. World, spawn component, text settings, and the position with the settings. I thought that would have worked. What happened? I don't see it here at all. Did it somehow go like off screen? It's like, here's the settings, which is down here. So that's correct. That's our data. And then our position is this settings position, which is this new point. Okay. Oh, plus. No. I want to do that minus there and plus here. It was down off the bottom of the screen. That's what the problem was. Settings is actually like these are too far apart from each other. If we don't make this times 2, how close are they to each other? Oh, that's like perfect. So here we go. We now have our title screen that gets loaded up by the loader at the beginning of the game, which is really nice. I want to do a little bit of refactoring for this, specifically with this this loader. I can already see this getting unwieldy here. Like, look how big this has become. It's blown out of proportion. So we're in this loader. We want to load the title screen. So I'm actually gonna make a new file in here. Call this title screen. Okay, so we're gonna mod the title screen there, which means we can come inside of here. Let's make this a struct again. So title screen loader. And this can, I don't think it's gonna like change any of the other stuff that we care about. I'm just gonna do that for right now. Don't know if we need, I don't think I need to do like any of this type of stuff, but I want to store it away so we can have a load on it. So we can have a pump function load, which is going to take a reference to self and then like whatever the things that we need to do are. So I don't know what that is yet. We're definitely going to do a results. And we're going to come into here and you know what? I'm actually just going to take this. cut you away. And in you, due to load. All right, so we know we need this world. We know we need this context. And we know we need this, oh, we already have an error result. Okay. So we have this entire thing, which is not super fun. And the only difference between these is what? This is getting, okay, this is get a resource of, this is the only difference. Because once we have this, then I don't think we need anything else. So what if I were to like have a private function to get, I mean, I could also just have it get title. Let's just try get title. This can just be a reference to the world. We're gonna return a, there's nothing in here that's a question mark. So I don't need to like return anything other than, in this case, it's a reference to a string, but I can just clone that and make it a full string. Because it needs to be a full string anyways when it goes into the text, I believe. Yeah. So let's just return a string. Then in here, we're gonna do this. So we're gonna get let, so that, the title. Then we're gonna get the resource for a title, passing this world, resource names, game name as ref, okay. That's fine. Then let title font size. So we want to we also want to get the title and the font size. So what if we don't do that? And in this case, if we're gonna do this, we probably just want like a helper. Ooh, okay, we want a helper to grab this out. And we can pass this in too for what it's gonna grab us. Is that true? It's like, okay, so this is like a reference to a string. I guess we can like get string. We can have like a couple different helpers for these. Like get string resource. Let's try that before we like go into generics. It's like not even get title here. We can do, you're still yelling at us. I don't think we have any like helpers in here. So let's create a, oh, I think we're gonna have a bunch if last time is any indication. Then in helpers, so we're gonna have just a file in here for like get resource. Probably just like get resources. Do get resource. So pub mod get resource. And then here. So we're gonna want this. We're gonna have probably a bunch of these until we like figure out how to do the generics side of it. So let's just do this as like get string. So pub function get string. All right. So what do we know that we need? We need we need the world, which is a reference to a world. And we need to know what the name of the resource is. So name is going to be I think it's just a ref. So it's a stir like that. And we're going to return string. So let resource, then we can is a reference to a string. Then we're going to use this get resource macro. Pull out, okay, so the resource, then the world, and then the name. Then we're going to return resource, and we can just clone you. Clone you or to owned. Either should work. No, but oh, we need to bring in the cast. Let's see. This is in resources, resource cast. Okay, so that's happy there. Now back in you, we can now grab, so I can refactor this just a little bit for a game name. Instead of doing this thing here, we can now let game name equals get resource get string, pass it in a reference to the world and the name, which is resource names, game name as ref, which gives us this string here. And then we don't need to clone this anymore. It's like the full string. So this is going to be like a painful refactoring as we go, but it's going to get better as we go, and it's going to get a little bit nicer. We won't have to do this entire mess once we get to this. In fact, to this point, I should be able to create the title and another method down here. So we can have a private method, just function create title. We need the world, which is just a reference to the world. And I think that's it. Oh, and you can return the title as a text. And we can get the title positioned the same time. from that. Hold on, I'm gonna have to do that too early. I want to continue sort of like breaking this out one at a time. So we get the game name out of here. Title font size. This is gonna be an F32. So back to helpers. Get resource. Have a pub function. Get F32. World name. This gives us an owned F32. We have that resource with a reference to an F32. In this case, we can just clone you. In fact, I think we can just dereference this and it will auto copy. So now head back to here. This is the title font size. So if I copy you, the title font size is going to be equal to get resource, get F32, pass it a reference to the world, pass it you, and just equal. Now we have the F32 for title font size, and I don't need to do that. Okay. So, what's next on this? This is then returning out of here. So we get the game name, we get the title font size. This is creating this text, and we're creating this text exactly the same down here with that. The only difference, let's see, it's not easy because like the game name with the resource is going to be slightly different, and the font size is going to be different. So I don't think I can do those like together in like a single function, but I could create the text as like a function. So we can have a function create title text, and I'm only doing this as a function just to like make it down here and like a little bit easier. So we have this world, just a reference to the world, and then after that I don't think we need anything, and we're going to return a text, and then you all happen down there. Which means then this can just be a self dot create title text, pass it in a reference to this world, and there we go. We have the text. And then I can do the exact same thing to the play text. So there's just enough of a difference here to make it be that way. Okay, so then here, you're the, it's like the actual string here. We don't need this at all. We do need the font size. Font size, but instead of this, is just gonna be font size as the ref. We still get it out as the F32, so that's fine. Text fragment, then this is just gonna be play. Give it the same color and give it that. So we're fine there. Now the only difference between this and the settings text that I noticed is the resource name is different. So resource, the name is different. If the name is different, then I could pass in the name here. So we can just have this be create text. We can have the name is a stir. And then we need the font resource name. That's the only other thing. We need the font resource name, or to get the font size out of here. Font size, which is an F32. Then I don't need to do this at all. This is just create text. So game name. I don't need to do this at all because we're gonna have the name come out of there. We're not gonna do that. This is gonna just create the new text. The text is gonna be the name. Give it the color white. And this is then gonna be the font size. Okay, so then back up here, so for a title, we do need to do a self dot create text. Pass it a reference to the world. Well, actually, we don't need the world at all, do we? In this case, world's not being used anymore. So now we just have that. Okay, so for the name, for this title text. So for our title text, we need to get the name out. So that's going to be the, yeah, let's do this down here. Get resource, get string, pass in a reference to the world, and then the name, which is the resource names, game name. Yeah, as ref, okay. And then the font size is going to be exactly the same. We're going to say get resource, get F32, a reference to the world, and resource names, and this will be the title font size as ref. Yeah. And you expected a stir, so then we could just put a reference in front of you. And that gives us this. Okay, so now we have our title text here, and it's the full text. We can do exactly the same thing with this. So we can have like our play text. You are now going to be self.create text. Okay, so for the name, this is play, and for the font size, we're going to do get resource, get F32 reference to the world, resource names, the standard font size. All right, so that gives us that. Settings. Okay, settings text. It's gonna be exactly the same as play text here. The only real difference is instead of play, it's settings. Okay, then we get these screen coordinates, one graphics. Then we have to get these positions. Like where do we care? Where are we putting them? And how do I wonder how I want to break these out. I feel like I'm doing 3 disparate things here. So to me, that feels like I should have 3 separate functions for this, even though there's going to be a little bit of repetition. Is there? Oh, because I could have like insert into world with the components for this. Yeah. So this part where we create the position and the title text and then call insert into the world, those are probably going to be 3 different functions. So function, like we're going to be create title. Now, in this case, we're going to need the mutable reference to the world because it's going to be calling maybe like a world insert for us. We'll do create title first, and I'll probably break that out even one more time. Then I don't know if I need anything else in here. We're going to be returning a result, though. All right, so we're going to create this title text. We're going to move you down here. And in its place, we're going to call it. So self.create title, pass it in that world. We also have to create the title position. Now, if we need that, we need the screen coordinates, so we can just pass these in here. Which is going to be a rect. So we have the screen coordinates. We'll just grab those up here. Pass in screen coordinates. Okay, so you're happy for that line. Now we have the title text, we have the screen position. We need the context too. Once we have those, then it's time to insert into the world. These are all getting exactly the same thing. So let's create another function for insert into world. So we're going to get the world, which is that mute world. And we're going to get the text, which is so So with these two components, so we want the actual, like, so this is going to be the data. So we want the text and we want the position. So text is going to be this text, and then we have the position, which is going to be a point. Okay, and then here, this is where we're going to do this world. We're going to grab you, put you into here. So world, spawn entity, with component, this text, and this just becomes the text, and this just becomes the position. So then down here, we can then do a, what are you upset about? Oh, we need to world methods. We need to pull in world methods. Can you find that? Oh, you can. Okay, nice. And component names need to be imported. Then in here, we can do a self.insert into world, pass it in that world. This is going to be the title text and the title position. Question mark U. And there we go. Now for the rest of these, we have to do the exact same thing down here, but we don't need this type of world insert anymore. And we just want to duplicate the create title, but for the specific other ones. So we're gonna have create function, create play. If I copied it, why don't I just paste it and then change it? Create play takes in all of you with the big difference. Your play text. I already have this information here, so I might as well just grab you here. So there's the play text. The play position is also here. And then we're going to insert into the world the play text and the play position. Okay. Bulver's dad, hello. You're tired in a way sleep doesn't fix. Oh, I've had that before. Oh man, that can suck. I'm so sorry. I hope that you're eventually able to recover from that. Like that beyond exhausted. Oh man, yeah, that can be rough. Your play text. Your play text. Okay, so then one more. So we have the create play, and now we're going to do create settings. All right, so the big thing here. So exact same thing down here, but we want to like replace you. So I'm just gonna grab both of you and replace both of you. So we have settings text, settings position. You become settings. Your settings text and your settings text. And then, okay, so we have this create title, self.create play, self.create settings. So I made the file a lot longer and I sort of like moved things around. But the entire point of moving all around isn't to like make it necessarily cleaner in like the more like it's to make it a little bit easier to reason with, which might actually like be part of the definition of cleaner, but it now means that like if I need to go change like the settings, there's a specific place for me to go change that. It's a little bit easier for me to sort of like understand. Summer vacation soon. You're gonna have so much fun not having to give one single thought to schoolwork, and you can just go travel with friends. Oh, those are the best times. And hopefully the pandemic will be over soon for us, so you can like even maybe go travel without worrying about that. That would be the best. Okay, so we still have an error. Now something else I'm noticing, these require the screen coordinates. We're grabbing this out here, but that's only because we have the context. I think that's fine for right now. In the future, we might want to have like a specific like config object that we pass in, and that would have the screen coordinates of like what's set in, or maybe we could even grab it out of a resource. I'm not going to worry about that right now. So we're going to come back to Hugh. What do you need? So you need now load title screen is no longer a thing. Right, because now it's title screen loader. So in here, we're going to have the title screen is a title screen loader. In new, we're going to generate that. I think it's just like this, and then we throw in title screen. So it's like an empty struct. And then self dot. Come on, what can't I do? Self dot title screen dot load. Yeah, dot load. You do need to be public though. No method named load title screen. I'm not trying. Title screen load. And then what else are we passing in? Oh, I think just that. No errors. Let's go ahead and run this, see what we get. Everything still works exactly as the same. So that was a lot of work to get the exact same thing going, but we cleaned up the loader here a bit. Now it's just like, it's just gonna say, hey, when it's time to do the title screen, time for us to do that. So you can actually see like, okay, we're now doing, we're loading the title screen in here. What we don't have is something to like delete everything in the world. It's like, we probably want to, at the beginning, delete everything in the world and then load all these things up, which will be interesting. But okay, so let's go ahead and clean up all these warnings. A bunch of them, I'm sure, are just unused imports. Navigation isn't being used in main state. So if it's not being used in main state, I'm just going to remove it until eventually we do need it. I think we're only using the enum for it right now. Oh, lots of fun things. All of you. Let's see. Okay, so irrefutable left if let pattern. How would you fix this? Consider replacing the if let with just a let. Wait, can I do that? Wait, oh, let is just creating it. Hold on. Wallet, okay. Close this thing. Oh, because there's only one event that can happen right now. As soon as we create another event, this warning is going to go away. Oh, we could just like create a dummy event right now. So in events, we have this navigating to. What if we just say like dummy? The near variant is never constructed. So either way, we're gonna get an error in here. There, I'll do that. Next time we go and create them, I'll delete that dummy. Okay, so navigation, we same exact things here. We haven't like created the settings for that yet. So you're being handled there. We don't need this. No warnings. So if we cargo run you, there we go. We're still at this point, but we can go ahead and take a look at our the issue that I have for it. So we now have these options with play and like settings set up on it. Now I need to set up a controller so that I can like go up and down between the play and the settings. Also, like I want to, something that we learned earlier on, getting the resources set up for being able to like add in sounds earlier rather than later is really important because it's kind of hard to like bolt on at the end. They may not be the real sounds we use, but at least we should have some kind of sound. So that's what we're gonna do there. I've got this all like tagged, it's all good. It is 8:28, so unfortunately I am gonna head off. I'm gonna go ahead and cut off the YouTube aspect of this this video here. So I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.